Hi and welcome back. For today's video we're heading over to East Midlands Airport to try and get some trails of planes coming into land and taking off. With a bit of luck I'll show you one on screen now. Well, good evening ladies and gentlemen. We're off on our travels again. Sun's just setting over to the right and it will be starting to fall dark within an hour or so. Today we are heading out to East Midlands Airport. And about a year or two ago, a friend of mine asked me if I could take a specific picture of a plane coming into land with a long exposure to see the trail of lights as it landed. And I did that, and it was quite cool. He liked it. And today I'm going to show you how I did it. So it's about an hour from here to East Mids. It's down the M1 to Junction 24, a few major roads, and then we'll pull up in one of the viewing areas there. In terms of equipment, any old tripod will do. You will need a focal length commensurate with how far away from the planes you are. In my case, I'm expected to be about 200mm. I've got my 100-500 lens for that, so I've got a good deal of flexibility in terms of where I set the zoom to. Obviously, I won't be touching the zoom during the shot. Long exposure will be taken at one zoom, and I expect it to be around 200mm ish. Other than that, we've got the Canon R5, and I will be using my phone to trigger the shot today. Okay, this one's a shot where the settings were absolutely critical. The exposure time was 54.9 seconds as it happened, but importantly I was shooting not on manual but on bulb mode. Bulb allows you to hold the shutter open for any amount of time. So on approach I could see when the plane was coming into shot, and then I would open the shutter and I left it open until the plane had landed. I set the other settings accordingly, so ISO I knew was going to be really low, so I put it on L low, which is 50 ISO, and that allowed me to get a correctly exposed picture. The aperture I played with anything up to around f13, and anything down to f8 I ended up settling at f10. And with f10 and ISO of 50 I could do 1 to 2 minutes of exposure. It gave me a good deal of variability on the exposure. My focal length was 100mm, so I was at the wide end of the 100-500. So in terms of other settings, I was mechanical shutter, and I was not using a subject to detect because I was on manual focus, which is a bit unusual. I focused on a plane that was at the end of the runway and left it set there. I didn't use the stabilizer on the lens, and I didn't use the autofocus at all. I did find the 100-500's electronic focus wasn't quite as good as a manual mechanical focus would be, but it was good enough to do the job. The way I do the focus is I pick a point, I zoom right in on it, I magnify it as much as I can, and then I will focus by hand manually, and then zoom back out and take the shot. And they're the settings for this week. So on this shot you can see a plane coming into land. There's the bright central light that you can see there as it came down, and the colours on the wingtips. This one is a takeoff. You can see it veering over to the right just after taking off. And this one's another landing shot coming in. Right, so this is the image that we chose to start with. It's going to have a very, very light touch in terms of editing because it already shows exactly what I was aiming to achieve. This is a plane landing. You can tell that because there isn't the center bright light of the headlight of the plane. So the trails are nice. The picture's quite well exposed. The sun stars are good. You can see a little bit of the fence down in this bottom corner. I might bring that up, but it's not going to have an awful lot more than that. The vibrance is pretty good. I'm just going to go and see if I can pull out a bit more color. So image adjustments and then vibrance. Just punch that up a tiny bit, and saturation too. And it's just defining those colors a little bit more. Okay, I think I'm going to lose the left-hand side. I quite like having the fence there, but there's so much dead space. I'm going to keep these two red lights at the end just to give it a bit more balance. It's quite nice. In terms of the highlights, image adjustment, shadows and highlights, I think I'll leave quite a dark foreground. There's a 7% shadow boost. Highlights, I can bring them down. Don't know if I want to go too far. Maybe do about 30% just to boost the sort of star effect around these lights, which I quite like. And I'm just going to see if I can make the background, rather than that sort of grey black, make that a bit darker. So Control L for levels and just pull that left hand slider up. So I'm just moving this left point further right to bring the black point up. I can be quite bold with that if I want to be. I think I'll go 10, so that's quite significant. And that probably is all we're going to do for this week. It really was a shot where the settings made the shot. All the work was done on getting that set up correctly. You've got a couple of ways you can go about doing this. If you're at a busy airport where there's a lot of stuff taking off at landing, you can try different settings and experiment quite a lot. If you want to be pretty close to right first time, take some shots without planes in and make sure the exposure's good. I picked some settings that I knew had a really good variability around them. I could have a shot of 1 minute, which would be slightly underexposed, which is where we're at here, but I could boost that in post-processing. Or I could have a shot where it would run for 2, 3, or even 4 minutes and it wouldn't be completely blown out. And that gave me flexibility to deal with the fact that the planes land at different rates. This was quite a nice one because the trails were quite smooth as it came into land. The pilot's done a lovely job there. So the shot in camera was pretty much where I wanted to be. So that's it for this week. So I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. It just goes to show that it's not always the edit, it's sometimes the settings that make all the difference for a picture. If you enjoyed that video, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one.